and we are all going to hit our play buttons at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
I can confirm Akron definitely lacks amenities.
There it is. Rory, once again, like having no problem with something that Lorelai has a problem with and wants Rory to have a problem with it.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yep. I'm going to comment.
I also always wonder what the flower budget is for the show. Like the amount of flowers that are always at Emily and Richard's is astounding.
So once again, Emily has to go about it in a twisted way. She can't just come out and say what she wants.
It's funny. We're like, I'm like talking about Lorelai. You're pointing out Emily. It's already turning into a great discussion. That's an interesting question about the flowers, by the way, Nikki. I never thought about that because I would imagine they probably had something similar to like the whole food thing on the show where they had somebody who was a specialist in that. I can't imagine that they just generally the set dressers just did the flowers. I bet that there was somebody who bought the flowers and arranged the flowers. It's a special task. Oh, Dan wrote this one. I am spoiled on the name of this inn, by the way, that they're going to be creating. So this is kind of fun for me to watch them like coming up with names for it.
Oh man, I love that.
God, I'm so much like Suki.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
My favorite part.
This is amazing.
It's so good.
I have no idea where this is shot.
Fun fact, her son plays Rune. Her actual, like, this actress's, like, actual son.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Let me free.
That's the actor's mom. Cool.
Yep. Valerie Campbell shared that with us at FanFest, or FanFest gatherings, rather.
I can see the resemblance.
I see the resemblance now.
Brandon, she's immortal.
Awkward.
Why can't they just say when you're dead? I love Bootsy.
May he rest in peace. Yes.
I didn't see. I totally did not see that. I did not see that at all.
Really?
I should have seen that, but I didn't see it.
Come on, nothing but love for Jess in that scene. That's the best.
Did we already meet Mia in season 1? I can't remember.
We've seen her once before.
No, we've seen her once before.
Have we seen Mia? I don't remember her.
No, we haven't. This is the first time.
Oh, I'm thinking later in the episode.
Yeah, I think she's just been mentioned by name thus far, up to this point.
Does she really not? She really not understand them?
No, it's just a joke.
Okay. But he believes it though.
Yeah, and it drives him crazy.
God, you are Shrekky. I love Luke's just like absolute dead eyes at Taylor.
They must have had so much fun doing their scenes together, Luke and Taylor.
I have such an urge to try and figure out where this Mia character goes.
Here we go. I love that line.
Is this Bootsy's first episode?
No,
Yes.
but this is his, no. He's been in episodes before. This is his first like major talking episode though.
She bought the magazine from him.
Oh, right. That's right. That's who it is.
Yeah, the bridal magazine.
That's one of my favorite Luke moments.
Okay, so I double checked, and it turns out he was in season 2, episode 1, Bootsy, but I missed it, so I didn't remember. So my bad about that.
Yeah, that was sort of the turn that I was waiting for. I was like, what is it about this character?
Ouch. Ooh. Ouch.
Whoa, that was intense.
My favorite part.
Whoa.
So it begins.
I love it.
Ooh.
But it really begins.
Oh. That does feel like where it began. It's freaky.
I mean, hey, anybody would say that.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger. This kind of is about the same conversation we were having this morning about strength and confidence.
Yeah, that's interesting. Although I don't know if it's totally an issue of confidence. I definitely want to talk about that afterwards. That particular moment, Mary, because I have some perspective on it.
Here we go.
Ooh. Oh, I think I'm with Emily on that one.
Just so she can run away again?
You're missing again.
I see the logic in both.
Same. I'm in the middle. Okay, no one heard you.
Regardless, that was an awesome scene.
People spit when they talk.
I love how Jess had to make sure Rory saw him do that.
Exactly.
Which just makes it all the more better.
That makes it better.
Well, I don't think so.
It's sensitive.
All right. Why does it make it better?
Okay, so I mean, we don't need to keep going into the logic of why I love Jess. We all know why. But like the rant that she went on when they were on the corner of Dosey's when Dean was getting his check, she went off on him saying like, you don't care about anybody. Like Luke is taking all the heat from you. Like, and things like that. And like at the end, he's like, no, I get it, I do. And so I feel like obviously he fixed the toaster to kind of be like I'm sorry type thing, and he wanted Rory to know that, so he looked at her, and so it's like, okay, well, I took what she said to heart, and I want to do something good, so I fixed the toaster.
Mary.
So he could have just walked.
Oh, sorry. Continue. Because I now want to hear why it's not cool.
So
and I think Mary, you have a perspective on that.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I completely agree with what Tasha said, except that the fact that he made sure that Rory saw it takes away from the making up work stuff. It's not about Luke. It's about Rory seeing that he's trying to make up. And so I personally don't see that as much redemption as if he had just done it. And
it's very disingenuous.
Yep. There we go.
But if he did it, okay, so if what Tasha is saying is that this is his own weird apology, it's kind of, because there's two things going on here, right? There's, on the one hand, there's an apology, which doesn't have anything to do with Luke, really. It's just, that's more like, I'm sorry to you, and I'm sorry to the town, right? And then there's the, man, I was probably pretty bad to Luke. I should probably make up, right? And those two things are kind of separate. But in order for the apology to work, she has to actually see the apology, or she has to know that there was an apology. Otherwise, there's no apology. Right?
She wouldn't have known it was fixed by him if she didn't look at it.
Her?
Well,
I think he's apologizing to her on behalf of the town, because I think that's
if he didn't look at her, she wouldn't have known it was him.
But then why didn't he apologize?
I'm just saying that that's if what we believe is that really that was about an apology. I'm not really actually convinced that was what that was.
No,
that it was an apology.
I don't think so either.
No. I think it's about showing off to Rory, but I think there should have been an apology. That's what I believe.
Agreed.
I agree. I agree too.
I agree.
I was going to say we should probably open up the couch so we could have more insight.
Sorry. Yeah, let's open up the couch. All right, we are opening up the couch. The couch has just gotten magically longer. We've got a bunch of cushions here for folks who want to come join us in this lively discussion about this episode that we just saw.
Maybe he just fixed it because he could, and it just happened to be at the time that Rory said that he was able to show that he fixed it.
Thank you. But then why didn't he tell Luke he fixed it? Why lie about it? That's what I didn't understand.
Well, because he can't admit he did something nice.
It's not his stick.
It's the tough guy routine.
Exactly.
I mean, Luke could have easily discovered that when he wasn't around, and when they weren't around, that just happened to be when he discovered it. The fact that he looked at her at the end seems more coincidental in that context, right? Like she just happened to be there, and you just happened to see that, and I'm not such a bad guy after all.
I think that's what his whole thing was. Like, Jess is not great at saying, putting his feelings out there or talking much really at all. And that's the thing. You saw it earlier when Luke introduced Jess to Mia, and he's like, huh. And then Luke was like, that's hello, nice to meet you in soccer. So he's not a man of too many words to other people other than Rory. It's very clear to that. And this is his way of saying, look, I get what you're saying. I'm going to try and do something. This is what I feel like I should do.
I honestly don't think he was trying to do anything, though. I think that he saw Luke struggling with it the day before, and he looked at it, and he probably thought he could fix it. I think he would have fixed it no matter what. I just think that that's just something Jess would do and not say anything. And because that I don't know. I just, when the scene where Luke's trying to fix it and he's all frustrated and Jess walks by, he looks at it. I think, oh, he's going to fix that. That was my thought. And so I don't think he really did it to apologize or make up for anything. I just think it's something he did. And
Yeah,
he
I have to agree.
just
with
lucked out that somebody got to see that he did something nice.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Oh, yeah.
It's more testament to like the more of an unspoken love and appreciation for Luke, because as Tasha has said, like Jess's whole thing is that like he's not great with communicating, and we'll see that very pervasive with the seasons to come, that he's not great at communicating. So I think this was like a step for him, and that's why he won't admit to it. But it's like an unspoken thing that he did anyways, that he was going to do regardless.
Thank you, Regina.
I feel like the timeline is off on that explanation, guys, though, because at least 2 or 3 nights have passed since Luke was fixing the toaster and the toaster was fixed. And it seems to have only happened after the conversation with Rory. So I don't know if the timeline kind of worked as smoothly as we would like it in that explanation.
I think
I agree, Mary.
I think I agree with you there. I do think that the conversation with Rory did inspire him. I don't think he realized until that conversation how hard Luke was having it with the town, how he just thought it was just funny and whatever. And then he felt bad. And so I would imagine that he, maybe not like marched back into the diner and like, I'm going to fix that thing for him. I just think that probably he saw it, thought, maybe I should just be a little cooler to this guy. And he did that. The thing though, is that he could never have anticipated that all of that was going to sort of was going to happen there in that moment with Rory sitting there. That was all coincidental. And so the fact that he kind of looks at her there at the end, to me, feels a little bit less like he's trying to show off what he did, and a little bit more like, like how coincidental that you happen to see that, given the fact that you think that I'm a terrible person. Well, I'm not a terrible person, but so I sort of interpret it that way. But I do agree. I do think that it makes sense that something she said kind of got through to him there, and because of it, he just softened a bit, and then probably saw that toaster maybe later that day or the next day or whatever, and was like, I'm gonna fix this stupid thing,
He just seems like the kind of to figure out how to fix things, because he probably always had to back at home with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I thought that. That's why I think, well, he just could fix it. So I just think that he does strange random things once in a while. You have more, Tasha?
Weirdly, no. That was me clapping.
Oh, thanks.
Clapping to your comment, John's comment, Regina's comment.
So,
although I could still
How
dig
did you
in
like-
and say, I don't think it's as coincidental as John makes it out to be, because you would think that he would be able to say to Luke when he pulled out that teeny weeny little toaster, white toaster, that it wasn't needed. But he waited until he could make a point. That's kind of my impression, but I'll leave it there.
well, doesn't Luke always have 2 toasters out there? No. No, I guess I never paid attention to that.
I hadn't thought about that, Mary. That there may be something there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mary.
Yes. I love how people are having just as bad.
I agree too.
He did it.
Can we
So,
do a little dive on that conversation between Mia and Emily, or do we want to save that for later?
Let's talk about it now.
let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
That was really interesting. First of all, I didn't totally get what was going on there with Emily when she was talking to to Lorelai. I just like it just wasn't landing on me what was going on. Maybe maybe I was listening to somebody else speak, or maybe I had just spoken or something. But like I wasn't totally sure exactly why Emily was so pensive until she walked into the inn, and then it all sort of completely made sense. I said it in the scene. I think that I'm a little more on Emily's side there. I know that, like, I get it, Mary. She would have probably ran away, you know, but
She could have called her and at least told her where she was.
yeah.
I agree. The fact that she wasn't at least.
Yeah, she really does seem like she just takes on the role of mother without any consideration to the fact that there may be another mother somewhere out there hurting.
I agree with that, but I also kind of think about the idea that when she saw Lorelai, she may not have known what caused Lorelai to come out. And in contacting Emily, or run away, in contacting Emily, is she potentially bringing whatever Lorelai was running away back into Lorelai's life?
Yeah, I'd have to
therefore pushing her away even further.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle, because I feel like I agree with what you're saying, Mary, but I don't think that she would have contacted Emily. I think that there could have been some encouragement, because she was very influential, and Lorelai trusted her, and I think there could have been some encouragement, like, hey, you know, maybe you should reach out to your mom, or just find out more information, and kind of, instead of just shutting them out and completely disappearing, and kind of nudging her to maybe look at that relationship a second time.
But also too, she had no idea what kind of background that Lorelai could have come from, you know, because all she saw was this scared, you know, what, you know, person, this young person holding a tiny infant, and just not knowing, and just seeing that she was just lost. And so she probably just assumed that she might have come from, you know, maybe an abusive household or something, and she wasn't going to put her back in that situation.
But for her to think that, Lorelai used to go home for holidays once in a while, and she obviously knew that, because she knew who Emily was. If she's wanted to meet her after all those years, she had to have known who Emily and Richard were at some point. And yet she's still just kind of, I don't know. I have conflicted feelings on that, because I get why Lorelai left, and she wanted to be on her own for her own reasons and everything. But I don't have any kids, but I feel like if I did, I'd be really disappointed if somebody didn't at least try to find out if I was terrible to them, or at least let me know that they were somewhere safe, even if they weren't going to come back to me. I just kind of feel like, I don't know. That's one of the things that's always kind of rubbed me wrong about that particular episode, and the way Mia handled it.
Because it's against the mom code.
But if you think about it from the point of view as the kid, if you were also a type of kid that had that issue, and you thought, oh, I gotta get out of here, and you met another child as an adult, and you thought, oh, I can help them out, I totally get where Mia's coming from.
You can help them, but you can also make sure that other people that might be worried about them would know that they're safe, or at least know if they should know that they're safe. It's almost like she just
From an adult point of view, though, if you were the kid, another kid in that same situation, you might think very differently.
Yeah, but Mia wasn't a kid.
But if Mia was the type of kid that went through either a similar situation, maybe had a friend, and didn't see it from a parent point of view,
maybe. I still don't agree with that.
I do think that Mia seems like the type of person who could she seems like the type of person who could find out relatively fast, you know, in such a small town, and it feels like she could have found out pretty quickly what was going on here, like what's going on with Lorelai, and I don't know. There's something about that Mia character that really kind of I don't really. I guess the best way to say it is I don't totally. I don't totally trust her. Like,
Why? Can I make
I don't-
one comment?
I don't know. She seems just too good, you know? She just seems like so everyone loves her and you know, the whole time I just kept thinking like, where, you know, like what's the catch here? You know, like I just kept feeling like, what's the catch here? What's the catch here? And
Can I make a comment after you do?
Yeah.
Does she not have a trustworthy face? Is that?
Because that's, I don't believe that one.
it just
Tiffany's
feels
mic
she
was
just
also
feels
flashing.
so she just feels like so together, so good, and I don't know. I mean, there was something about that, the fact that she would feel like she can take on this young woman and having very little regard for whether or not there was a parent out there that may have been wondering where she is and worried or whatnot. And just there's something about that just doesn't sit quite right with me.
Well, I think part of it is that if Lorelai wanted to get away so badly, that Mia probably felt that she was safer there, and if she had tried to make her go back, then she would just run away again and maybe run away into like not such a safe environment.
She didn't have to make her go back though.
That's what I was thinking. She could have given her the security to say, you're safe here. You're not going anywhere from here, and kind of give her that home feeling. So that way it was kind of to reach out to her parents. I mean, they can't force her to do anything. And Mia could have given her that security to, I don't know. I don't think
But
she would have, I'm not
Lorelai
saying
at
she
that
should have made
age-
her force her to go back home.
Right, and that's why I think
Flashback.
she did. I think that's why she did it, is because if she had tried to intervene, then Lorelai might not have felt like it was a safe place to be, and especially with a baby, you know, bad things happen to kids that are always on the run, and especially with a baby.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
good
like,
point.
flashback
That's a good
to
point.
this morning's episode where Lorelai tried to tell Luke who he could date because she didn't want her world mixing. I can see her. First of all, we don't know that Mia didn't try to or that Mia didn't encourage Lorelai to keep in contact with her family. But I can see Lorelai saying to her, "If you keep pushing this, I'm leaving." Like, I can see her saying the same thing of like, "My parents' worlds and you are not to mix." And maybe Mia gave in to that also out of wanting to protect Lorelai.
Yeah, I agree.
I wanted to ask, because I'm trying to figure this out. So for those like who are on the fence about Mia and who were thinking like, oh, like she should have at least told Lorelai to like keep in contact with like her parents and stuff. If she did that, wouldn't Emily and Richard, or more specifically just Emily, just come back and just drag her back home and then have the whole cycle repeat itself again, where Lorelai would run away and she'd run away somewhere like differently and not with Mia, and again, like as people have mentioned, maybe in a less safe environment because she felt like Mia, like she couldn't trust Mia. Like that's what like is on my head right now. So I know that Tasha's been flashing her mic, so I'm gonna let her speak.
Wait, sorry, before you speak, Tasha, can I just have one clarification, because maybe I'm getting this wrong. Can the room clarify to me what the nature of running away from home was? Like, did she run away and Emily and Richard legitimately for X number of years didn't know where she was and thought that their daughter could potentially be dead? Or
Answer that.
We don't know.
you don't
I
know?
mean, we do, but
Oh.
Well,
We can't, it's a spoiler, we can't tell you.
yeah.
At this point in the show, you don't know.
You don't
All
know.
you know
can't
is
tell you.
that they once in a while went back for holidays because they mentioned that at some point in season 1. So
Yeah.
Lorelai was in and out of her parents' life with Rory when Rory was very young, on and off. But they had never gone to where Lorelai had been staying. That was clear when Rory was showing Emily around the inn and the grounds and the shed. So, but we don't, at this point, we don't really know those kind of answers. So it's all about how we're seeing them.
But Lorelai was 16, so she was still a minor, right? Like she could have
True.
technically been just like forced back home.
Yeah.
Right. And they probably could have really
But-
tracked her down if they really wanted to, especially since she was coming home at some point. But for holidays.
All right.
But
Well, it sounds like maybe there's some spoilery stuff that I should probably not pry too much on. But
Yes.
I think that's probably also a big part of that. I would need to know a little bit more about that before I can fully judge Mia on this. But just in general, characters that are just that good, like that well-rounded, don't seem to have any cracks in their veneer, like for some reason that just they don't sit well with me.
deep dark secret.
Well, I mean, I respond more to characters that have, like, you know, that have vulnerabilities, and I just don't really. She just seems so perfect. Everybody loves her. She's just great. You know, and that's why I was like, what's the catch here? There's got to be a catch here. Like, is she gonna suddenly fire everybody, and we're gonna be like, whoa? I just, you know, never really totally came through, and that scene at the end was maybe the closest that I got to that, like, where I sort of felt like at least I had that, you know, I had like a mother who was legitimately, you know, heartbroken about having lost her daughter, and talking to the woman who, like, didn't seem to care. But again, I might be wrong about that. I feel like I need more context to know for sure. Tasha.
Thank you. I was like, I'm losing my train of thought. Oh no. So kind of what you were just saying, some people are just like good. Some people just don't have another agenda. Some people are just good, and it's just like, we gotta just let them be good.
I know, but on television, I want, you know, for my drama, I want, you know, characters.
I mean, so do I. But what I was gonna say about the whole Lorelai, Mia, Emily situation. So, listening to everybody's points of views, like, I take pieces from like everyone's like remarks that they've made, and like I do understand, like, Mia, like, we don't know, like, we legit don't know, because we never are like, we just don't know. And so, like, she could have like encouraged her to go back, and she could have said like, hey, look, you got to stop with this. I'm not going back. You can't make me. You tell me to like go back or encourage me anymore. Like, I'm going to run, and I'm not going to like say where I'm going, type thing. She could have done that. But I think, like, Mia just, like, and some people have said this already, Mia's just like the person where she legit says, she like, I saw a girl who was scared and needed a place to stay, and I just took her in. And I think, like,
Did she say scared though? I thought she said determined to get a job. I mean, did she describe her as scared?
When she spoke to Emily.
Yeah. When she said
spoke
determined, she said
Rory.
that when she was talking to Lorelai before she told her about
to Rory and describing to Rory what Lorelai was like, she said determined. But when she spoke to Emily, she said scared.
Right. And so I actually like applaud like Mia, because like not to dive into my life story, but my mother has a similar situation where like she ran away from home for reasons I won't say, but she ran away from home, and then had person in her life not similar to Mia, but in that kind of same context, where she needed to go away from her family, and somewhere took her in and things like that. So I think like Mia just did it because she's a good person, and like she probably told her to contact her, which is probably why they went back for holidays, because I don't think she would have gone back for holidays if there wasn't some communication. But yeah, I feel for Emily, I do, but at the same time, it's like, if she would have gone back with Emily, either one, their relationship would have suffered even more, or two, like someone has said, like she would have ran again and not have come back and not have had any sort of relationship with her. So I think Mia did a great thing.
I feel bad
more
for
people
her.
feel like that.
I'll tell you what I feel bad for Emily for. So when Lorelai talks about the inn and her time with Mia and Rory growing up and all that stuff, that's all stuff that Emily missed out on. And maybe Emily didn't, in Lorelai's eyes, didn't deserve to experience all that because she felt suffocated by her parents. But at the same time, when she talks about the town and Mia and other people, she says it with such a like happy sort of memory kind of thing. And Emily is like just not a part of all that. And she just feels awful because she feels like she's missed out on stuff. And I mean, I would feel terrible if my kid came back and talked like about somebody else like they were their mother and raising their grandmotherly type thing to their kid. So I really feel for Emily, and I don't blame her for going in there and saying that to Mia. But and you guys know I'm an Emily fan overall, but that's one of the things that sometimes really makes me a little less liking to Lorelai in a way, because she doesn't consider how her mother might feel when she says things like that. And she may not realize it, but she's also not considering it. Sorry, had to get that out.
No, I agree. It's heartbreaking. My heart always breaks for Emily when those scenes happen.
Definitely.
So I'm the only one that thinks that there's something else going on with Mia.
Pretty much.
We've all
that Luke, that embrace with Luke was a little telling.
What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know. I've
Not
never seen
Luke,
that.
Lucas.
Lucas,
Yeah,
you're
Lucas,
right. The
where's he been?
nickname and the embrace was always like, what? But they're pretty friendly.
Pretty long hold there.
Oh my gosh, let's not insinuate
Oh,
something else,
come
guys.
on.
Some people are just
Hey.
very touchy-feely.
So John, what did you think about the prank?
Yes, please tell us.
The prank on Taylor?
I'm still not totally, like, I was half expecting him to be like, I didn't do that, and then us to find out that it was Bootsy. Was that his name? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I was really half expecting that was going to be the twist, that, like, you know, I look like a slacker, I act like a slacker, but I'm not really a slacker. So, I mean, of course, he was ultimately the one who did it. So that's really mostly how I felt about that. I thought it was funny. I didn't expect it. Like, I didn't really know what was going on there. And when they showed Jess, I was like, okay. Like, it was just a twist that I felt like I should have seen coming. But I didn't.
Yeah, why would you expect anything less from him?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I like the writing just had me going, that's weird. Who did
Oh no,
that?
I was just giving you crap for it.
But I also sort of feel I kind of felt the same way about the gnome, you know, like when he pulled the gnome out of the closet. I for whatever reason, I just didn't feel like that's. I just couldn't imagine Jess taking the gnome. I don't know why. Like, I felt like that's what we're supposed to know about the character, but it's not, like, it doesn't strike me as somebody who would put that much effort into those types of things.
Like running around town, just doing little.
Yeah, like he's just so he's so slacker. He's so, you know, chill and, like, doesn't speak. So now, try and imagine, I guess the gnome, you could imagine him just, like, you know, nonchalantly walking over, just picking it up and just walking home, right? But try and imagine what he looked like doing that chalk thing. Like the guy that we've been introduced to on the show, like this, like, really, like, you know, man of few words, you know, sauntering around. Now he's on his hands and knees and he's, like, scribbling on the ground. I just, like, for whatever reason, I can't see it.
And how has he not met Dean? Don't they go to school together?
Do they?
Well, he goes
Does
to
Jess go to school?
They go to the same school, but I mean, they may not have the same classes.
Or as far as we know, he's going to school because Luke's telling him to go to school every morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of strange that that Dean wouldn't know who Jess was. Because if they're both, well, Jess might be. No, he's supposed to be in the same grade as them, isn't he? I don't know. I can't remember.
He's 17. He's 17, and is she 17 now?
She's going to be.
She's going to be.
He's going to be. All right, so they might be in the same.
Because this is fall time.
Okay,
She was born in October.
Because when he was introduced as being 17, my initial thought was that he's a year older than her, but I guess like we've gone through a season now, so she's probably 17 by now, or going to be 17.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
they're
she's
well
well
late
late
in the year,
so-
or something.
Her
aren't they?
birthday party. Did she turn 16 at that birthday party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so she hasn't yet turned 17.
No.
So he's just maybe like several months older than her, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was a really cool moment there between the three of them. I mean, just yeah, you can feel the drama. You can feel the drama already coming.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I kind of think like, and I kind of mentioned it right as the scene happened, where like this is where it begins. But I mean, we all know, well, the people that know the story.
No spoilers.
I feel like it all started with Dodger. And now that I know what that means, it's even more sweet. But now it started with them two, with Dodger. But I feel like it's gonna start with like them three on the corner of Dosey's, because like now when like Jess was like, seems to turn out that way, doesn't it? So like him saying that is kind of like, bring it on.
He did seem
Game on,
disappointed
I think.
that she had a boyfriend.
Exactly. And then
Yeah,
he
totally.
kind of like, okay, let's make this this should be fun. Type
But
thing.
by the way, we should talk about how similar that is to what we were talking about yesterday, or was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, right? Yeah.
With Chris and Lorelai?
Yeah, with Chris and Lorelai, because that was the vibe that I was getting from him, which was interesting. There was no, like, you gave no signal, sign, indication whatsoever that you have a boyfriend.
And he's
Is
never seen her with him, which is kind of strange considering how much he's been around.
well, I'm just curious. I'd love to hear the room's thoughts on that. Does the room in general feel like no, she was just, in all the situations that he saw her in, there was no reason for her to tell him that she had a boyfriend? Or does anybody feel like she actually, may have had opportunities to do so? An attractive young man around her, potentially a bit of flirting there at the end with Dodger and all of that, and she chose not to specifically let him know of that.
A.
I don't even remember what I said. What was the first
Which
one?
is that it just didn't
There's
come
no
up. We've
opportunity.
seen them have 3 conversations that were maybe 5 minutes long each. She met him, and then he stole her books and gave it back to her, and then she yelled at him for pulling a stupid prank. Like, it just didn't come up. And yeah, there may be flirtation, but I don't think it's anything compared to what happened with Chris and Lorelai.
I agree,
Exactly.
Mary. It didn't come up, but she seemed pretty flustered when she says, "Yeah, my boyfriend, of course." And he's like, "Oh, you didn't mention that." And so the way she acts after he finds out she has a boyfriend kind of makes me think that maybe there is more to it, that why she didn't say anything.
Yeah, she kind of shrunk back a little bit. Like, she realized that maybe, well, she could have, not that he ever asked her directly or anything, and maybe she assumed he knew because he came over to their house and all that kind of stuff, but she did kind of have that kind of reaction, like she felt like, whoa, I'm caught doing something I shouldn't be doing, even though she really wasn't doing anything she shouldn't be doing, but she kind of had that look on her face.
That's sort of what I'm getting at, is that there's nothing up until now that seems to, like there was nothing about any of the interactions that she's had with Jess that needed her to talk about her boyfriend. And yet she does seem totally caught there in that moment. Like, she's very nervous. And so that suggests that she's already emotionally started to move towards Jess, even though she has this other guy.
Hey, Lily was flashing before you, Tasha, so maybe.
Oh, I know.
Quick.
No, I know.
Sorry, Lily.
I was gonna say, I think it's a little of both of her because one, Rory isn't really the kind of girl that just randomly, or even if it could possibly be in conversation, is just like, yeah, I have a boyfriend, because she just doesn't do that. But also, it was kind of like how Lorelai and Chris were, and even more so about how Jess is kind of like the male version of Lorelai. That, Rory maybe subconsciously is sort of just like, well, this is fun and different, and like Dean is Dean, but like, this is exciting now. I mean, Rory, yeah, she probably should have told him at some point. Maybe, I don't know, but
I
I
just
think,
think
like, if she had asked, like, he had never asked her out, and he never, like, if he had said, like, hit on her or something, she could be like, oh, I have a boyfriend. But so it's been kind of like coy, and so she hasn't really had a chance to say, oh no, I don't want anything, I have a boyfriend.
Right, but consider the fact that that is largely what happened the other night, because it wasn't until Lorelai actually made a physical move on him that he revealed that. Up until then, they were just flirting. And I would classify what was happening between Rory and Jess with the book and, and the pulling, the magic trick and Dodger and all that. I would classify that as flirting.
Okay, so I have quite a strong opinion on this, obviously. So I think that it's kind of presumptuous to like just assume that like with how Lorelai and Chris are, that's kind of like what Rory and Jess are, because all four of them are very similar, obviously, because Lorelai and Rory are best friends, so they're very similar and have very similar taste in guys. But I think to a point, flirting can be harmless, especially if you have a very flirty personality, like myself. Flirting can be harmless unless you do something about it. And so in my mind, I think it's the first one where it's like there was never opportunity presented itself where she needed to say something. Jess was very much a loner and didn't really go anywhere except for stealing like the money or Pierpont or anything like that. So I don't know if Dean really even saw him because he didn't really do anything. And he hasn't gone to town meetings, and so they wouldn't have met anyway. And I think I don't think with the whole thing when she was like, when he was like boyfriend, and she's like, of course. I don't think there was really anything there, and I haven't seen the whole thing. I think they were talking, and then Dean came out, and then it just that conversation kind of stopped. And yeah, Jess kind of was like, oh, boyfriend, and then he probably took that as oh, boyfriend, this should be fun. Let's see what happens with this type thing. And I mean, he kind of made it known when he was seems that way, doesn't it, type thing. That got the ball rolling.
Her response to boyfriend was very weird. She
yeah.
said,
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. She's like,
because it's
yeah, of course.
She got really I think that's weird because they've never been in the same situation, same area. And so yeah, she may have a tiny little crush at this moment, and she might not even know it. But her actions are kind of speaking loudly.
She knows it. She knows.
I feel like I've had to say this a lot in both the first season and the second season, but Rory, and her first ever being interested in a boy at all was Dean, and you saw how weird she was about that entire situation at first, running away from him all the time. And so I still feel like maybe at this point she's just still innocent enough that, oh, there's this new guy in town and I have to be nice to him because it's Luke's nephew, and she hasn't really thought about the fact that he's really flirting with her yet. She just thinks, I'm trying to help him, get used to this town and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to bring up
that so comfortable that she hasn't thought about that.
I was gonna bring up that point that Jessica was saying, because I was thinking like the only experiences that she's had with guys are Dean, Tristan, and Jess, and I was gonna say like Rory isn't the most receptive to like, you know, flirtation stuff with like Tristan, like the whole scene, like oh you're still into summer, and then Tristan was like all done. He was like yeah sure, like I'm into summer, and like he was frustrated with the fact that Rory wasn't getting it. So I was thinking like exactly what Jessica was saying, like, you know, I think she's being friendly with him because it's Luke's nephew, but maybe there is something there. Maybe it's like a tiny crush that's forming because she sees him more often, and then like she would see Tristan because it's only just a school thing, but Jess is there in Stars Hollow, so, and Stars Hollow is like tiny, so they're more likely to bump into each other and all this, that, and the other. So yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean,
but everybody's making
he's into the
points.
He's into the classics, you know.
Yeah, she totally had a look when he figured out Oliver Twist. I think she has a little crush on him, and she's aware of it, and then gave a very awkward reaction in that moment because of it.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
that's
I
more
think
interesting
it's
than
hard
for
for
me.
it's hard for me to buy that she's not already forming a crush on this guy.
Oh yeah, you can instantly form a crush on someone.
Yeah, and so if she's forming a crush on him, then she wouldn't want to let him know that she has a boyfriend while she's around him. And when her boyfriend like suddenly walks out, like, and he asks her, she would be completely nervous and awkward. It seems to all fit, you know.
Well, like when you have a sorry.
I agree, John.
No.
I agree.
and I think, you know, I think I know what you were sort of getting at, Mary, in the last scene, because, well, Jess knows that she has a boyfriend, you know, and he's still trying. Like, he's, you know, clearly that was flirtatious energy at the very end. You know, whether it's coincidental or not, whether that moment was coincidental or not, I think it was coincidental. But even if it wasn't, it doesn't matter. He's still giving her that flirtatious energy, even knowing that she's got a boyfriend, because he knows he can feel it back from her. And ultimately, I think he thinks I can probably, like, this guy is probably not an issue.
And that goes back to my point where I was like saying, like, he said seems to turn out that way, doesn't it? That line, and that's like, if you read in between the lines, it's like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And he probably thought to himself, okay, like, he's not competition for me. Like, I'm gonna get her, and it kind of like gave him the energy to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do anything it takes to like get this girl. I mean, obviously, I know way more.
But I mean,
about this.
But is that like at this stage of the show, given like trying to put out of your mind what you know is coming, like,
yeah, is
that okay? That he's like, well, I don't really care what this guy. I don't care what this guy. I'm gonna get this girl.
Oh, I mean, not really. I mean, but for like, no, it's not cool. But I feel like with crushes are like such a slippery slope, because you can have crushes on, like, micro crushes on people, and it like it's not really a big deal. It's like kind of like what you do with that crush that kind of matters and stuff like that. And I may be wrong, but that's just like how I think. Like, I've had crushes on guys and stuff like that, and my ex had a crush on, like, a tiny crush on this girl, but like, it's like, I think it's like what you do that like kind of matters. But Jess is like, I see no competition with this guy, like, so I'm just gonna keep being me and see what happens. That thing.
I think John's point is he is doing something about the crush.
Exactly.
He's doing.
No, I'm talking about Rory.
Oh, you're talking about Rory's crush. I thought you were saying Jess. Like,
oh no, Jess
clearly.
Oh yeah, Jess is clearly after her.
Shouldn't be.
But Rory just has like a crush. Right. She doesn't know what to do with it, or if she's going to do anything.
And if you're a team Deanster, like, you know, like some
Like
of us in this
you.
room, like some of us in this room, you might take a little offense to the idea that this guy is stepping in on your territory.
Well, and she's liking it. She's liking that he's stepping into her territory too.
No, I know. I know she is.
Oh, there's a
Totally
beautiful
engaged
video
with him.
about this.
I mean, she enjoys her banter with him, and I sometimes think she enjoys it more than when she talks to Dean now, because
Oh
he
yeah.
gets her, he gets what she's saying without having to explain anything. I wanted to.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. Sheev, are you coming up? Come on.
I just invited him, so
For whatever reason, it's not.
it's not working. I'm trying.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
This is a friend of mine who I know has been watching with us, and
The first guy to come up too.
yeah, Ron, are you? Maybe he's trying to come back into the room.
Yeah.
I've almost convinced the guy friend to join us because he's watching it for the first time, but he hasn't been off work to do it yet.
We've had a few that have joined us on the couch.
I just want to say, John, because you've done it a few times. Alan is me. Just so you know.
Wait, what?
Alan, the guy sitting down below Alan, is
Oh my God.
second account. So you don't need to find me right now.
Mary has an alternate personality.
I was like, Alan, representing the guys.
But while
Yeah, sorry.
while we're in this like limbo of trying to get him up here, so my choo-choo train derailed and crashed. Anyway, someone else talk.
what I was gonna say before. Sort of, can we talk about the fact that instead of being like, yeah, this is my boyfriend, she was like, of course, because I feel like her saying of course is sort of like trying to be like, yeah, Dean, I definitely told him I had a boyfriend. Don't be
Yeah, like
Actually-
obviously, right?
Actually, you know what? I have a feeling it's very possible that he actually thought that he was leaving the room and he pressed the raise hand button instead of the leave quietly button.
Okay.
That's possible. Speaking of which, I'm gonna actually have to get going. But once again, this was very fun. I don't know if I'd rank this episode very high for me. There were some good moments, but I think this was sort of like for me, it was just more information, more. There weren't any, like, aside from perhaps that final moment. Excuse me. Beside that final moment with Emily and Mia, there weren't like too many like really big.
Luke and Taylor were fun.
Oh my God, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
With like Luke and
Taylor's
saying,
fight.
You
I thought
crushed it.
Luke was
3
gonna
people
tell
saw you.
L when he started with F. I was like, the first
Yeah,
time
John,
I was
she spelled
like,
it for you.
Wait, say that again.
Luke and Taylor's doing all the acronyms, and then Luke says, that's F-I-N-E.
Oh yeah.
I thought like the first time I watched it, I thought he was going somewhere else with this. And I was like, oh my God, Luke.
I've seen it before, and my mind still goes straight to that.
Oh, no, mine too.
I like the part where him and Bootsy are arguing, and he was like, he went back to like 3rd grade. He's like, crushed it, Bootsy, and 3 people saw you.
Hey, I want to say to all you mothers, happy Mother's Day tomorrow, since we're not meeting.
Yes.
Happy Mother's
Yes,
Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy early Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
And happy first
And
Mother's
moms to
Day.
be in the audience.
Happy Mother's Day and happy first Mother's Day, Babsy.
Bab- You heard her, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we are returning on Monday at 7 for episode 9.
Yep.
Everybody enjoy their Mother's Day.